All right. Hello. Welcome back. This is Colin Keeley here.
And I'm Brent Sanders.
And I was thinking we probably need some kind of like tagline to kick this off. So it's like, and we're the founders of Avocado, which is an audio publishing platform. We can
Right.
think of some catchier for next time, but something like that.
That's a really important piece of context that we've been missing. I'm glad you mentioned that. We'll come up with something. What did you say in the last podcast? Having a full spectrum audio experience, something as good as that.
Oh, prismatic.
Prismatic. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I even butchered that. Yeah. Prismatic audio experience. Yeah. That's, we'll come up with a tagline. But yeah, the context here obviously is that we are co-founders at Avocado. And we are, I don't know what week we're into, but of the podcast, this is the fourth week we've done this.
Yes. Yeah.
Fourth week. Yeah. So fourth week of keeping track of things through the podcast, having our sort of stand up like what we did last week, what we're doing the next week, as well as picking a topic and diving into that. Because we have a lot of things that we're working out. It's a very fluid business. I guess some background, if you're just hopping into the podcast midstream, you're not going to go back to the prior 3 episodes, is we started this business earlier in the year and started as a marketplace, have since transitioned. I should even back up further than that. It started in as a marketplace for audio courses, and now we have transitioned it as sort of a Shopify for audio courses. And now this week, which I think we should talk about a little bit, is some of the things that I've been changing in the product is removing the word course, because there's audio content, there's audio, I don't know, we were using the word tracks. We're trying to open the platform up so it's really anybody that's trying to sell a listening experience. It may not be specifically a course, which has been, I think, it's always fun to see how your product gets used in different ways and other ways that people can kind of find utility in something you've built. So I'm probably the most jazzed about that in the last week of, hey, there might be people doing things other than just teaching with audio.
Yeah. I think we're both huge believers in like the audio course potential, but it's a bit of like, hey, you have a video course, you should actually record an audio course. So it's like creating demand instead of just like walking where the demand already is. And
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of stumbled in. I didn't know what to call them initially, but like the broader audio product ecosystem. So initially I was calling them audios, which is a real term that seemed to fall out of use in like after CDs and like tapes were invented. And then you just call them tapes or CDs or things like that.
Right.
So I
Right.
think we're going to use audio products generally. And that's like audio books, audio stories, audio vignettes was something that people are using, which I'd
Ooh, I like
never
that.
heard before. And then, so it, looking like where those are really popular, we have a few different categories. So in courses, it's like wellness and business right now. And then for like audio books generally, I was looking on like Audible and like self-publishing and like way back when for like the great courses, what was popular.
Mm.
And these passionate communities are like around religion, romance, or fan fiction. I think, yeah, education, like kids' education could be really big as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everyone who's struggling, we probably talked about a little bit on our conversation with Jackie last week. Getting away from the screen, especially as we are entering the newest phase of COVID, where, and we don't know what's going to happen with school, and that's a big one, but a lot of people are distance learning. A lot of people are obviously working remotely if they can. But looking at the screen time and just thinking about that more and hearing more stories of how it's affecting people's mental health, it does seem like audio could be a good solution. Although, I hate to say it, I think we're maybe a little late to the party in the sense that, if you're already mid-flight in school, teachers are already stretched to try to pivot, midstream, or at this stage, it may be difficult to see it getting adopted, but we're still, nonetheless, it still seems like a good application for audios or audio products, as you put it.
Yeah, I think the most interesting one, I guess, in the near term to me is kind of around audiobooks. So you could self-publish your audiobooks on Audible, but you can't set the price. They kind of determine what your price could be. There's like no interaction with your customers and you have like minimal info on them. And then
Mm-hmm.
they take 75% of the money you make in
Woo!
exchange for the distribution. So people hate it.
Wow.
Like people are pissed about it. There isn't really a good way to self-publish your audiobooks or just audio products generally. So I think that is like an easy demand spot for us to play.
Yeah. Speaking of Audible, I was a big user, big listener for a very, very long time, and I ran into that situation where I just had a glut of credits. So I canceled and used up the remainder of my credits. But it's one of those app experiences where you can't transact, obviously, because they don't want Apple taking 30%. And knowing that they take 75% angers me, knowing that they're taking the lion's share of profit. And, it opens this question about one thing we wanted to chat about on this podcast, which was distribution, right? It's like, they own the means to a degree. I mean, so this is an Amazon company, and I don't remember when they got acquired, but I think it was a couple of years back that Audible turned into. Am I right in saying that it hasn't always been an Amazon company? I believe I thought I had an Audible subscription, then it turned into basically merged with my Amazon account, but I could be mistaken in that.
Yeah, they bought it, I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago for,
Right.
I say like 200 million. And it's roughly $1 billion industry now, audiobooks. And it's almost all Audible. Like they're building an empire there, and we're kind of arming the rebels in this approach.
Yeah. So in thinking about distribution, like, we check the boxes on a couple things. We most recently, before we were, first version, we were in the iOS or iTunes App Store. We had an iOS app. We then branched out and got on the Google Play Store. So we're on mobile devices, and then rolled out the web app. So we're on like the big kind of obvious solutions for us, or obvious places for us to be, people being able to get access to our content and, our audio content. But yeah, I'm curious how you think about distribution on a broader scale, because that's like, that's where the rubber meets the road. We want people to be away from their screens. We have to use technology. This is a technology product, but we're trying to kind of optimize for away from the screen and being able to just kind of go for a walk and, learn or enjoy or whatever you want to do with your audios.
Yes, so we could go through kind of the different tactics. And I know I've talked to VCs that have portfolio companies that are like much larger course companies now. And I know what their most successful tactics are. So we'll move to that in time. But like so I guess the different categories are outbound sales, SEO, and referrals, and then ads as well, but to a lesser extent. And so we are starting with outbound sales. And we developed a pretty good process for this at Finance Fuel and Paro. I actually wrote like a beautiful long blog post on it. And I was going to post it on my site, and then I just realized this is going to be like customer service hell. I'm going to get questions to the end of time on this. I'm just not going to make it public ever. But the general approach is to pick a category. Like the one I've been working on is romance. It's like a massive category in self-published books and audiobooks as well. So I have someone, our coworker in the Philippines, that goes through a big list of like erotica or romance creators, and she'll go find all the emails, and we'll put that into our like CRM, and then we'll send out drip campaigns to them. And so that has been pretty successful. I have a few creators that kind of keyed up from that, and then we have a lot more emails to send out next week from that as well. And that's
and they
great
seem to kick off. Sorry to interrupt, but they seem to kick off for me. Like, I'm really excited that they kick off some good conversations, right? So we're getting product feedback. We're getting, can it do this? Can you guys make it do that? All the little things that, when you put something out there, you're understanding, is this fitting the market? Is this something that people can just transact with? Which it seems like majority of people, they may have questions and would like, feature requests, but, the majority of people that do respond and have some interest. One part of it is, okay, I'm going to get started on my audio course. And the other part of it is, can you convert from video, or, how do I get started? So it does seem like that first channel has been working. This has been the playbook to date, right? This is how we're acquiring our initial customers.
Yeah. And we have, I just looked through it. We could be public with numbers, I guess. We have like 140 creators, but a lot of them are just like, this is another one of their channels. So I really want someone to build like their nice audio business and be like really invested in our platform. So I don't think we have those people quite yet where they build their like full-time business on Avocado, but that would be the goal out of this, is like get some really invested people that are giving us great product feedback. And we have a few people giving us really good product feedback, but it's a process.
Yeah, I mean, there are some people that I'm trying to think through. We have sort of what I always call like audio first or first class instructors, and I use instructor. I really should use creator, right? Is they went ahead and re-recorded their video to audio and didn't just. So I think I mentioned this on I think our first podcast. We built, in order to get customers early, we just built an easy way to convert uh, from video to audio, and that would get people on our platform. We were able to build up our marketplace. We got one side really stacked up, and that was great. But that I think was part of the problem, is like the quality. If you listen to some of those courses, they were just using different terms. Like, if you look here, if you see this in this diagram, it's like, this is not a great experience. This is not. And then once you actually hear the audio first, kind of, you're like, yes, this is what we're after. This is, and it is. We have to kind of pick through a lot of other stuff in order to get that. And I think our creators that have seen the value of that sort of audio first mentality, is just so much of a better product, much better product.
Yeah. And then, like, putting on my VC hat, the goal is to get a little flywheel going in one of these passionate communities. And I think we're both like kind of indifferent which one, starts getting adoption first, but we're just going to go through like category by category. So like religion, romance, education, and see where we could get it going.
I'd say we're equally excited about all of them. That's how I feel. It's like
Yeah.
we're not indifferent. I mean, because I think that we probably, I mean, obviously we want people to use the product. We want people to use our, transact with us. That being said, all of those different segments kind of include exciting different features, exciting, I'm excited about each of those. And yeah, I'm hoping that we can dig into one and become that, platform of choice that helps sort of champion whatever the missions are. I mean, obviously education's a big one, but it's also, because of that, it's super broad, right? We have people doing leadership, business, actual like writing skills. I mean, the content that we currently have in our catalog is pretty broad. I mean, we had, as I mentioned, Jackie on last week doing her own thing in the health and wellness space. And so it's like, we probably would benefit from going into like a very specific segment and really becoming the platform for that. But it's hard when you get on a phone call with people that are excited about their business, and they're doing, they're thinking of either using your product, or they started using your product and it's working, and it's like, oh man, how many things we could build for this too. So obviously I'm excited about building stuff, but it's just really promising. And I think we could choose any of them. It's just a matter of who's going to be willing to take the leap in something, a name that's not as recognizable as, some of the incumbents.
And then as far as other distribution channels, like I know for most of these SaaS offerings, referrals become their biggest channel by far. So we just got referrals live this week, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was late. Yeah, it was this week or late. I think it was late last week. It was super easy. Shout out to, was it Rewardful? Was that the?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, they tout it as a 15-minute integration, which it wasn't quite that, but it was close, right? If you're using Stripe checkout, it is dead simple. We are using Stripe, but we aren't using Stripe checkout. They just add a little piece of metadata to your transaction, and you have a reward. You have a referral program, which is huge. And what's the break? 30% for the lifetime of the referral? Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. You can make a lot of money if you start doing this for us or for other, SaaS offerings, because there's just so much, margin there to play with. And instead of throwing it at Facebook ads or whatever, you could pay it to your customers.
Yeah. Referrals, I would say they make sense on paper. I haven't seen a lot of success with it, just from, I've seen sort of the startups I've worked with, from that are starting from zero. Not to say they do work. I do know that. And obviously in cases where you have real money that can be made, in our case, where it's, if you're walking away with 30% of, each month, that can add up pretty quickly, especially if you're selling through to like our higher end tiers. Like that's really solid. But yeah, I really haven't seen it. I think because the rewards haven't been there, right? It's like, okay, I can make, what was it back in the day, affiliate marketing and, basically writing blog posts and linking to Amazon products and trying to make money that way. That used to be kind of a thing, but I guess this is different. And I don't want to discourage anybody from sending us referrals. But I would say our referral program is much richer than any other company that I've ever worked with.
So I have I ever tell you my broken bone affiliate story?
Yes. This is brilliant. Yeah, on Medium, right? It
Yeah,
literally is you pointed this out. It's like one of the top ranked things when you look for. Sorry, which bone did you break?
it's called the Jones fracture. It's what Kevin Durant did. So I got tackled on a fast break. I rolled over instead of my ankle, my foot. So I broke my foot.
Oof.
And I wrote, 10 tips. It's only like 500 words, 10 tips to heal a broken bone faster. And Google decided I am like the expert on broken bones now. So I'm like slinging knee scooters. I probably sell like 5+ knee scooters a week. So I make
Oh my
almost
God.
$100 on like Amazon affiliate fees a month. And it's just for
Wow.
this like crappy article I wrote, but people apparently get value out of it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you're cutting through all the noise, right? And yeah, that's super interesting. I love that story though, because it's the internet at its best. You're actually providing value, and then you figured out a way to monetize it. And people don't know that I would say most of your clicks, people aren't like, oh, this guy's going to make a nice little spiff on this. They have no idea.
Yeah, and knee scooters, if anyone has a broken bone listening, highly recommend it. The less weight bearing you have, the faster you heal. So it's like a no-brainer purchase to get moving again. So that, and then SEO. SEO is our last distribution channel I've written here. So this started because audio courses are so new. I was just explaining them to people all the time. And so I was just trying to like write down all my most common answers and hand them out to people. And yeah, this takes time, but I think it's worth the investment. Our competitors aren't doing it that well. And I know from a lot of other big course companies, like SEO is where it's at going forward.
Agreed. And the things that I've seen around this is usually the impatient factor of like, hey, we're an early stage company, we got to go, and to stop and spend in month one. And by the way, the company usually changes in month one, but if you were to make that investment early on, by the time you're at that 6 or 8 month, when you start to see some of the results, you're going to wish you did it. And it's always just one of those things like, now that I look back on our first month, had we written a bunch of content, it probably still, even the model has significantly changed. We're still going after the same thing. We're still writing about audio courses, audio content, being away from a screen. But then again, I don't know that that's what people are necessarily searching for, right? That's not what how do I get away? How do I learn without a screen? It's like, that's not going to be ranked. But to your point, if you can make that investment earlier, the better. And I think it is worthwhile for us to do it. And I do think I guess this is more of a question for you. It's like, and for our listeners, we use Webflow for our website, and we've integrated it with our product. So our entire catalog is, synced up through the Webflow CMS. So all of our instructors have profiles on our website. All of our courses are listed on our website. Do we think that is going to be useful, or is it like, I mean, obviously if somebody wanted to take a course from one of our instructors, we want to rank, but like, when you think of a distribution channel and SEO as one of them, is that what you have in mind? Or is it more so like you're successful, like Listicle, 10 things you need to know about, broken bone?
I meant it more so that like if anyone Googles anything like sell audiobooks, sell audio courses, we should be the number one hit. Both because
Yeah.
I mean, Google will eventually figure out like we are the solution for that. But if we just produce all the content, we'll have the best answers around it as well. And so shout out to Taylor, our intern, who's like churning out probably 2 articles a week on this. And it's going to add up. I think it's going to be super valuable going forward. It hasn't been yet, but it's always like that tipping point with SEO. Once you get enough juice, you start getting listed higher.
Yeah, definitely.
Besides that, we didn't really talk about ads, like Facebook ads. It seems to be, talking with other SaaS founders, it's like not their biggest distribution channel. It's far more common with consumer stuff. And obviously with an early stage company, it also costs a lot of money. So we're not like trying to spend a bunch of money right now.
Yeah. I mean, I would say we did have a lot of luck early on with, what was it, ASO? What is that short for? Is that App Store Optimization?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that was pretty productive, especially when we're going from literally zero. We didn't have anybody, I feel like you ran that whole program. I didn't really even know it. I knew it existed, and I knew that people pay for for ads. But it was very affordable, and it was a good way for us, I think, to get our very, very first users in almost a replacement for a cohort of beta testers. It was like, otherwise, nobody really knows. If you build it, they don't come kind of thing. Nobody really knows it exists.
Yeah, I have some friends that run like fairly big consumer apps, and ASO is everything for getting these eyeballs on these apps. And so there's a lot of like grayish tactics that are very effective for like juicing where you show up in the rankings and words you're showing up for.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah. I mean, I think as we continue, I would like to stay away from paid. I mean, I've had a lot of tepid experiences with paid ads, and this isn't with other businesses, less so with Avocado, but usually that's our first step when we're thinking about starting a new business. It's like, hey, let's run some ads and see what acquisition costs are like. And I just feel like I'm of the mindset now that it never really looks good, and it's never like, oh my God, we found this segment that if with this landing page we're able to convert and get these emails for this price, and therefore this must be a killer acquisition channel. And it's like that. I feel like the last time I saw that was like 4 years ago. And ever since then, you realize it's actually quite expensive. And especially, I think this is partial, because I'm coming from the context of Facebook ads. And I do feel like there is something to a new Facebook entity. I feel like I've heard this maybe from you, Colin, of like, if you're you start a new company on Facebook and set up your accounts all brand new, you're not really going to get favorable results. It's like they're almost skeptical until you spend a certain amount of money. Again, I could be making that up, but it's certainly what it seems like. And I just, we don't have the money to do it, but even if we did, I don't know that that wouldn't be the first thing on the top of my desk. I'd say, let's start putting a paid plan together.
Yeah. So my background, I run large Google and Facebook ad campaigns in the past, and I've seen how effective they can be, how scalable they are. So I'm definitely higher on it than you. I think there's a lot of value in testing messaging and like figuring out what benefits resonate with customers and which customer segments they resonate with. But for us, we really don't have the money to spend 10,000 just learning on it, or 100,000 just learning.
Right.
So it's a costlier way. It's a faster way to learn if you have the money to do so, but it's just maybe not the best option for us right now.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, I do feel like retargeting is killer, especially on the Facebook network. I mean, especially if you're doing direct consumer marketing or you're trying to sell something like a candle, that's pretty killer to know somebody came to your site and then you kind of are going to stay relevant with them for a period of time. That does work, but still, as you mentioned, it's an expensive way to kind of answer those questions, but it is fast. So you're right. I mean, if we had a much bigger war chest, it probably would be on the top of our desk. Look at me switching my position that quickly. This is why I don't tweak, Colin. This is what I tell you. I always see the other side and things.
You just have to declare retargeting is the best use of money ever, and that's how you get the Twitter engagement.
That's how you trend. That's how you trend.
And people love it, they hate it, but no matter what, they engage.
Yeah, you get quote tweeted, and somebody's like, "This guy has no idea what he's talking about," but that's Twitter.
Yeah. So come for the distribution tips, stay for the Twitter tips.
Oh God. So yeah, I mean, like as far as what's going on this week and next, I mean, this last week I feel like we had a bunch of really good conversations with creators, people that, are less so individual creators, but more so almost producers, people that might be able to bring a cohort of people together and onto the platform and understanding what their concerns are, what features they want. I mean, made a couple of improvements. Again, shout out to the Tailwind UI kit that we've been using on the web app, but improving some responsive stuff. And this next week, rolling out a feedback system. So if you've taken a course, expect if the creator would like to opt into it, but I think we're going to do it by default. If a creator wants feedback on their course, if once you've listened to the full course, a short time after that, you'll get an email prompting you to provide that feedback and try to open up a channel between the creator and the listener. And I would say, and as I'm saying this, is we do have discussions in the product. It's just that was kind of something that went in the first version, and I don't think has really been embraced. And it's something I think we need to sunset. And I feel like this will be a more appropriate replacement for direct in-app conversation. Number one, I feel like that whole in-app conversation, like, that's not a screen-free experience, but like getting an email later and like after you've had a moment to digest the course, giving some feedback that would be helpful to the creator, I think is good use of time, good use of, I think it'll be a nice feature to have on next week.
Yeah, I think that'll be killer. It's a bit of a question of, is that public? So if people are getting bad reviews, is it automatically on their site? Or we're more like, we're on the creator side, it's up to them. Do they want to showcase it or not showcase it?
Yeah, in my mindset is this is all going to be private to start. I mean, it's just reviews. It just makes me think of Yelp, and I feel like the Yelp system is kind of thuggish in the sense that, they want you to sort of, we're going to have verified creators that only get so many, bad reviews. Reviews have kind of ruined the internet in a certain way. I mean, if you're a South Park fan, definitely check out the Yelp episode, become a Yelper. But it's something that I think is important for creators to get direct feedback. And I don't know, there's an element of authenticity that I think in all of the things that we do, we want to maintain. And part of that is just having, I think, a little bit of a class and just letting them, fix an issue. And if there's a problem, if somebody's going to report, hey, this course was awful, wasn't worth the time, wasn't worth the money, creator, it's on the creator to make that right. I don't really think that the platform should, I mean, it's almost something, it'd be nice if you want to opt into it and you want to let people know about the great experiences. But if you look at like what Shopify does, it's like, they don't really touch it. They have plugins that you can use to kind of garner reviews. And I've worked with a ton of e-commerce brands that, we all know what happens. They just cherry pick the best ones and that's what's on the site. And so I have a lot of thoughts on reviews, but one of them is that I don't really feel like they're super authentic. I feel like, you still take them with a grain of salt.
Yeah, that's spot on. I think it's up to the creator. Like if they want to showcase it, cool, that's great. And if they don't, it's up to them.
Right on.
Cool. Well, I think that's it. Anything else you have?
Yeah. No, other than, I moved this week. I forgot to mention that I have now moved from Chicago to Cleveland. So I am now an Ohio person. I'm actually looking at Lake Erie right now, but I think logistically, the only reason I bring it up is it's kind of doesn't seem, I don't know. We've been running this business, I feel like 90% during COVID, right? It's like things really got started around like January, the app was out or so, or February, we got the app submitted. But like, it's so funny. I've literally moved cities, but I think between you and I mean, we would see each other so sparingly because everything was during COVID and it was just kind of weird. I mean, it's just, I don't feel like anything's changed.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter a whole lot at all.
Yeah.
I was doing those podcast tours and like going, and people were asking how it's different. And even pre-COVID, like I was only going to office half the time. You were probably going even less. So it didn't really matter a whole lot. Just is what it is.
Yeah, I just invested in a standing desk and didn't look back.
Oh man, I just got legs on my standing desk to make it taller. It gets crazy tall now. It's got to clear like 6 feet on the highest side.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I think that does it. Thanks for listening, and feel free to reach out in all the various channels. We'd love feedback. If you guys use an avocado, we'd love feedback even more.
Yeah, sounds great. Till next week. Bye-bye.